and welcome to Balanced Living with Pastor B. I'm Pastor B. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're in for a great show. But before I get into the show, I always like to ask you to go over to Facebook, YouTube, subscribe to my channel. And the reason I ask you to subscribe to the channel is because over there you can watch every show I've ever done. Every show I've ever done. I've done shows on mental health. I've done shows on tattoos. Should a Christian have a tattoo? I've done shows on life stages. Over there, you can go and watch every show that I've ever done. Ring the notification bell after you subscribe. And if you are on Facebook this morning, I'm asking you to do a watch party. Share the page, like the page, invite someone in to watch Balanced Living with Pastor B. Last week, I was on fruitfulness and productivity. Today, I'm going to show you some keys, 12 steps, 12 habits of successful people, 12 rules that successful people do. Nothing happens by mistake. You don't rise by mistake. You don't become wealthy by mistake. Everything happens by you doing some type of work. I'm going to balance it out with the Word of God. So let's jump straight into the show this morning. Now, I've got to pause because I asked some of you all, did they mess up Coming to America 2? Mess up Coming to America 1 with Coming to America 2? And some of you told me no, and some of you told me yes. And I agree with those of you who said yes. I don't believe you should mess with classic songs. I don't believe you should mess with classic movies. The queen got drunk in the palace now. The queen in the kingdom, she got wasted. Wesley Snipes, one of my favorite male actors, was grabbing his crotch. There was so much foul language talking in the movie. So I pray that they stay over there in Zamunda, and that better be the last time they come to America. Let's jump into the show. All right. We're going to start. I'm going to call them keys, okay? I'm going to call them 12 keys to successful living or living life more abundantly, okay? So key number 1, successful people wake up early. I'll say that again. Successful people wake up early, because if you're not careful, you will sleep your entire life away. There's only 24 hours in one day. 24 hours. And if you're not careful, you will sleep that day away. How do you know? Because I used to do it. I used to wake up at lunch every day, except for Sunday to be at church. But every day I would wake up, and by the time it was time to go pay bills, go to the post office, or whatever I had to do downtown, everything was closed because I had gotten up at 12 o'clock and had wasted so much of my time. What does getting up early do? Getting up early gives you a head start on the day. Your mind will be more alert. And I found that I have strategic thinking when I wake up early. That's just for me. I have strategic thinking. I'm well alert. I can plan my day out better. My thoughts are clear because I began to get up early. Sleeping late will cause you to be tired and sluggish. Yes, it does. You just want to lounge around the house, sit there and do absolutely nothing because the bed has actually drained you. It's zapped all of your strength because you stayed in it too long. You've heard the saying, the early bird gets the worm. What does that actually mean? When you start early, you maximize the potential for the outcome to be in your favor, because you arrive there first. That's all that means. Okay, now let's balance it with the Word of God. Proverbs 6:10 and Proverbs 24:33 both recall this. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, and poverty will come or creep upon you like a robber and overtake you. Again, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. Poverty will creep upon you. You know how somebody come behind you, you don't see them, they're trying to rob you, they creep up on you. Poverty is going to creep up on you, and before you know it, you're going to be broke. because you done slept your life away. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, learn from your failure. Everyone has failed at something. Everyone. As a child, you failed trying to get up and do your first steps, trying to walk. As a teenager, you failed trying to do your steps and walk. And as an adult, you will fail trying to take more steps and walk, because everyone has failed in life. Failing means you did at least try. There are some people that won't even try. They're too fearful to do and step out and be. So failing means you actually did step out and do something that somebody else didn't do. You actually got out there and tried. Okay, what did you learn? If I wouldn't have done it, I would have said, man, what if I had at least attempted at that? You at least tried. Failing says to you that you at least tried. When you don't learn to navigate failures, you will keep failing. But when you learn, you become resilient. Oh, I love this. Capable of withstanding even longer. When you learn the lesson, you become resilient. You become able to stand. You become tougher, in other words, because you've learned the lesson in failing. Failure teaches you that success is not a guarantee for anyone. It's hard work. Success is not a guarantee. You have to work it. I remember preaching a message one time, and I said, what does success look like? It don't look like these nice suits. It don't look like these red bottoms. It don't look like briefcases. It look like overalls. Success look like hard work. Okay? Now, Apostle Richardson talked in one of his messages about Disneyland, and he was talking about Walt Disney. And I want you to know that Walt Disney first tried animation. At his first try of animation, he went bankrupt. But it did not stop him. He kept on going. He kept on thinking it's Disney World. Is it World and Land, or just World and then Land? One is in Florida, one is in California. But in other words, he did not stop. When he went to when he tried animation the very first time, he did not stop at it. He kept going, even though he went bankrupt. You have to learn from your failures, not to repeat them. And failures will also humble you. Yes, it'll knock some pride down, or maybe several notches if you fail, okay? When you don't learn from failure daily, you will have to fight the word discouragement. When you don't learn from failures, discouragement will come upon you, and it will take your confidence and your enthusiasm. Discouragement will come, and you'll feel like, why should I even try? I'm not even good at it. No sense in me trying it again. Discouragement sets in. You lose the enthusiasm. You failed at the business. You lose the enthusiasm to go and do it again. You lose the enthusiasm to go and try again because discouragement has set in. No, get back up, learn the lesson from what happened, and do it all over again. And you might not do that same thing, but at least don't allow it to cause you to never try something else. Discouragement will set in. On a side note, discouragement does not mean lack of faith. Okay? Everybody says whenever there's something going wrong in your life, you should have just had faith and believed the Lord. You ain't have no faith. That's how come it didn't work for you. Oh, you ain't trusting God enough. No. Discouragement does not mean lack of faith. And discouragement, when you don't have no money, doesn't mean that you don't have no faith. People say you're broke because you're not believing the Lord. No, you're probably broke because you're not giving. Faith is only a small part of receiving financial gain. The number one way to get financial gain is to give. Give, and it shall be given unto you. So don't let people, that religious people, put that on you. If you had enough faith, it would have worked for you. You didn't believe God. There's something wrong with your life. No, don't allow people to throw that on you. Let's put a scripture on it. 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. We are troubled on every side, but not distressed, crushed and broken. We are perplexed, but not in despair. We don't give up. Persecuted, but not forsaken. God never abandons us. Cast down, but not destroyed. Why? We get back up and we keep it moving. You just keep getting better because of it. That's rule number 2. Key 3, don't conform. Be authentically you. The world does not need another copy of anything, or definitely not of anyone. Be who you were created to be. The world is waiting to see what God has inside of you. There's enough of us out here. I'm talking about put your hand on yourself and say, there's enough of me out here. I always tell people, if you see another one of me, you better kill that heifer, because there is not no room on earth for both of us. Listen at me. Be authentically yourself. Live outside the box. Now, I always say I don't let people punk me. I don't do anything that the Lord don't tell me to do. I do acknowledge him in all my ways, and he direct my path. I don't do something because somebody tells me to do it or asks me to do it. If your name ain't Jesus, you don't really matter. I don't let people punk me. I'm not a religious person. I am authentically myself. Someone told me one time, he said, you don't look like a preacher. I said, what does that look like? You don't look like a preacher. And I think they were talking about because I didn't wear the long dresses or because I didn't have the collars. I don't even own a preacher's collar. I've never had one. You know, the black suits you put the clergy collar on. I've never had one. I am authentically myself. That's what we're looking for. Go against the grain. That means go against the norm. Don't do what everyone else is doing. I learned this. The best way to cut meat is to go against the grain. That means you cut it perpendicular against the fibers, and it makes the pieces smaller, and it makes them more manageable to chew. I said more than you caught. Go against the grain. When going against the grain, you cut the meat perpendicular according to the fibers. It causes the meat to be cut smaller, and it causes you to be able to chew it better. Chew on it. Be a creative thinker. Be innovative. Don't blend in, stand out. Now, standing out, I'm not talking about, baby, I am who I am, and you ratchet. I don't let nobody change me, honey. This is who I am. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about stand out and be foolish. Stand out doesn't mean you cannot fit in. It just means once you're in, that you don't allow them to change who you are. You can be in and still not conform. Remember, this is don't conform. I always say I can be a part of your gang and still not wear your colors. So I'm not talking about when people say it doesn't mean to hold on to something that you can't let go. You know, people say, honey, I'm who I am, and I'm going to be like this until the day I die. I'm not talking about that. That's foolishness. Not holding on to something, just trying to prove a point. That's not what I'm talking about. Never use an excuse to maintain bad behavior. I'm just being who I am. I'm comfortable in my own skin, but you're using it as an excuse to maintain bad behavior. That's not what I'm talking about. Recognize when the scale tips over into foolishness and over into childishness. Put a scripture on it. Romans 12:2, be not conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Mean a different person. Bring freshness, bring a newness, that you may prove that is good, acceptable, and the perfect will of God. All right, key 4. Read. Successful people read. I go to Books A Million and I buy several books, and I might not read them for months. They don't jump out at me at the moment to read. But then when I have a thought and I say, I bought a book on that. Let me read more about it. Read. Successful people read books. Read and study what other successful people have already accomplished. You are what you eat. You've heard that when you were a child? You are what you put inside of you. You are what you read. Naturally and spiritually, you are what you eat. If you eat the wrong foods and keep putting greasy foods on the inside of you, I'm telling you, you're going to have a high blood pressure, diabetes. You're going to have a whole lot of problems when you get older. Some have them when they're younger. You are what you eat. So whatever you put in you to read, that's ultimately who you will become. Because what you put inside of you will eventually come out of your mouth. Mm-hmm. When you can't read, anyone can trick you. You know the saying, if you don't want us to know about it, talking about African Americans, blacks, put it in a book. All they were saying is we don't read. That's all they were saying. You don't want us to know. You don't want us to have no knowledge about it. Put it inside a book because we won't pick one up. Sad, but sometimes it's true. Reading is mental aerobics. It stimulates your mind. It exercises the mind, and then it strengthens your brain. It's mental aerobics. It creates a different vocabulary. You can tell who reads by their vocabulary. And let me say this. People that now use the word, what's it called? Narcissist. That's somebody that has read it. You know, it's a new term. All it is overly conceited person. They're trying to make it now be a behavior problem. No. Anything that you allow to get out of control can become a behavior problem. It can shape your behavior and it can shape your personality. No, a narcissist is an overly excessive, conceited person. It's not a new word. They've created a new word for it, but there's nothing new under the sun. It's just a conceited person. So if you control yourself and not allow it to go so far, then you got it managed. But a narcissist or an overly conceited person can't just stop. They need that demon cast out of them. That's a spirit. So, mental aerobics, let me get back to that. I was on that because some people now, when you go to jail, they read books or they read the dictionary and they get a new vocabulary. They learn a lot of words. They just don't know how to put them in a sentence. The number one book for a believer to read is the Bible. Number one. I don't care how many books I purchase. There is not a book that I read more than I read the Bible. Not one. Not a book. Because books are someone else's opinion, personality, life's experience. But the Bible, all words were inspired by God. Okay? Put a word on it. 2 Corinthians 2:15. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that does not need to be ashamed, but know how to rightly divide the word of truth. Read and study to know what the word says and what it means. Oh, move on. Key number 5. Remember, I'm only giving you 6 today. Key 5, invest in yourself. You have to spend money to make money. I will say that again. Invest in you. You have to spend money to make money. Let me plug Apostle Richardson, SBL here, Southern Business Leaders. It's a new group that he has on Facebook. You can go and find it. And it is a great way to invest in you to make money. But in order to make money, you got to sow money. He has made it to where it is it's dirt cheap. By the time you average it out per month, per day, you spend more than that. I spend more than that on fast food a day. It's dirt cheap. So check out the SBL. You have to spend money in order to make money. So key 5 is invest in yourself. Remember, you get what you pay for. So you shouldn't cut costs on everything. You get what you pay for. Now, I don't mind if someone is going to the dollar store to get paper plates, if you're having a cookout. Because if you're like me, you don't want nobody eating out of your dishes, your forks that you eat out of, especially during COVID. You don't want nobody drinking out of your glass. The paper plates just allow you to just throw them in the trash. So I don't have a problem with you going to the dollar store to get paper goods. But now I do have a problem with you going to the dollar store to get a dress. I do, because it's not going to last the first wash. You got to invest. You get what you pay for. By the time, I'm telling you, by the time you wash it, if it lasts through the laundry, through the cycle of the washing machine, probably won't. That's because you get what you pay for. That's why I don't care when people say, oh, that's too much, Pastor Betty. That dress too much. When in my boutique, my stuff is not cheap. You get what you pay for. I buy quality clothes. I pay good money for them, and you're going to pay me good money for them because it's not cheap. You get what you pay for. Anything you invest in is not for a return. It's for a greater return. Anything you invest in is not just for a return. It's for a greater and higher return. I have invested into my retirement. By the time I retire, I don't want to be making what I'm making per week here at the church. No, my retirement better look a whole lot more better than everything that I make per week, because it's for a greater and a higher return. Let's put a word on it. Proverbs 23:23. Buy the truth, sell it not. That means get the word of God at any price. When you get the word, you're getting God. Pay for Jesus. Pay your life. Sacrifice your life for God. Buy the truth, sell it not. That means get the word. Sell it not means hold on tight to it and don't you ever let it go. We're on key 6. Key number 6 is time management. Great place to stop today. Whatever affects your time affects your destiny, because you will arrive at a due time. So whatever affects your time will affect your destiny, because there is an appointed time and there's a set time and a due time for you to arrive there. So therefore, you can't waste time. I'm going to say that again. Whatever affects your time affects your destiny, because you are to arrive at a place at an expected end at a set time, an appointed time, and a due time. Therefore, don't you waste time. Key 6, time management. You can't be everything to everyone every time. No way. Everybody has to wait, even your family. I don't care who it is. Everyone has to wait, including family. In order to have been there for my mom and my grandmother every day, 24/7, I would have had to move in, sleep with them, eat with them, do everything with them. That's not realistic. That's not realistic. Everyone has time. As much as I want to be there for my grandchildren all the time, the only thing that they really lack from me is time, because I can't be with them 24/7. You have to put everyone in their proper place in your life. Spouses can't be there with you all the time. No. Children can't be with you all the time. They have to go to school. Spouses have to go to work. And if you're like me, you want your me time. You don't want to be all booed up, made up anyway all the time. When I was married, honey, go on. He used to love to go to the country and be with his dog. Wonderful, because I needed my time. Sometimes I would go on to church that morning and go back that evening. He might have went that day, but he didn't go that evening. Not all the time, because he wanted me time. So everyone has to have a place in your life. This is how you manage time. You have to prioritize. Everyone you deem necessary should have a place in your life with a time in your life. Fit them into your schedule. You know how spouses say, I just want more time. What do you mean by that? I'm here with you all the time. You don't see me every day? I can't even understand how spouses work together, live together, do everything together. By the time you get off work, You don't want to go home and see them again. You done worked all day with them. Well, I'll say I wouldn't want to work with my spouse and spend all day on the job with them and then come home and be with them all day. No. Give me something to look forward to. I done been with you all day. That's just me. All right. Fit people into your schedule. Don't have people having you running all over the town for them. No. Tell them, I can't do that today. You act like it's wrong for you to say no sometime. No. Move on, Pastor B. When you try to be everything to everyone, you burn out and you stress out. You cannot be everything to everyone. You're going to burn out. I got really close to burnout one time. You burn out and then you stress out. You're going to go to the doctor. You're going to ask him what's wrong with you, and he's not going to be able to find anything because it's just stress. Stress affects your physical body. Stress affects your mind. Stress causes you not to rest well at night, not to sleep good, because you cannot be everything to everybody. Successful people put you in your place. You're on their calendar. They pencil you in. They schedule you in. All right. Let's move on. Sacrifice me time all the time. That's part of time management. Sacrifice me time all the time. My birthday, somebody was asking me when it was my birthday this year, we had just had that little snow spell. The lights were out at my home about 1 or 2 days, and I still found me time. Somebody said, you went out of town for your birthday and it was snowing? Yep, drove right on through it, because whatever it takes for me to have me time, I went 3.5 to 4 hours away from here to get me some me time and enjoyed myself tremendously. I shopped. I stayed in my hotel room. I ordered in, shopped some more. Me time. Whatever it takes, get you some me time. It just get you some breathing room. That's all it means. Get you some breathing room. Time is important because you cannot get a second back. I just said that. I can't get it back. The second I spoke it, it's gone. It will never return. Time is very important, and you cannot get a second back, so manage your time wisely. All right, those are the first 6. I'm going to recap. I will come back and do the last 6 next week. These are keys, habits, rules, whatever you want to call them, of successful people. Put your tag on them, but I'm going to call them keys. Key 1, successful people wake up early. They don't waste a day. Successful people learn from their failures. They don't get discouraged and then stop trying. If I would have got discouraged with my boutique, I had a brick and mortar, and I live right here in the city of Meridian. Yes, I'm going to say it. And a prophet is without honor in their own country, their own city, their own hometown. Majority of my customers were from out of town. And I'm not talking about just out of the state. I mean, up the road. They were from Philadelphia, Newton, different places. People in Meridian barely supported me. You should support Bob's. If you don't support anything else, you should support Bob's if you're my color. What's a Bob? A black-owned business. You should support Bob's. And the people in Meridian barely did come into my boutique. But if I hadn't gotten discouraged, I would have just shut the thing down altogether. But one of my clients said, or my customer said to me, she said, why don't you just do online boutique? Why don't you just mail me my stuff? I said, wow, yes. Cut all that overhead, all just knocked it down. No building, no lease, no lights, no water, nothing. Doing it from my home, mailing out packages, and it has worked for me. I'll be right on back too. COVID shut me down a little bit, and I'm not in no hurry to come on back either, but I'll be back. But if I had gotten discouraged and would not have learned from not being in the brick and mortar, I would have stopped. No, don't get discouraged. Key 2, keep moving. What was key 2? I just said, learn from your failures. It really wasn't a failure, but learn from your failures, okay? Key 3, don't conform. Be who you are, but don't make it mistake. Don't make no excuse for being foolish. Key 3, don't conform. Key 4, read. Successful people read. Successful people are who they are. Like it or lump it. They are who they are, and they read. Key 5, invest in yourself. You don't invest in yourself, who will? You got to spend money on yourself in order to make money. Can't be stingy. Key 6 is time management. Now, next week, I'm not even going to give them to you. You have to come right on back, and you have got to see what the last 6 are. I am on keys, rules, habits of successful people. And you need to come on back and see how many of them you have or how many of them that you're missing. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. If you have been watching me, this has been Balanced Living with me, Pastor B. I'll see you next week.